Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be answering comments part 6 because I haven't done this in a little bit and there's quite a few good ones that I missed. Hopefully I can find them, but let's start off with the first one. So the first comment is, "Then brother, you have such a big ego that you haven't put down your shield even though you have seen so much. You're quite a person." I'll stop right there. Big ego, I don't think I do. I don't see myself as egotistical in any way, shape, or form, but perhaps I am, I don't know. That you haven't put down your shield even though you've seen so much. I base everything off my experience. And yes, I do agree with you that I do have a shield. That's my intellect, jnana. With that intellect alone, and from the mere words that says life is suffering, to give 110% but expect nothing from it, but hope for the best. It's something taught to me in my world religions class whenever I was teaching about Buddhism. That those two sentences alone allowed me to separate myself from my emotions for the most part, not completely. It is something that I followed with Osho, with separate yourself from your actions, separate yourself from your emotions, separate yourself from your intellect. I've gotten the emotions part. I've gotten potentially the intellect. The actions, that one, it's a bit difficult because I believe in responsibility. Responsibility, like I guess maybe Dharma? That, I've heard Dharma used as you're still this person, you must still do your actions. So to separate myself from my actions is kind of difficult because I believe in taking responsibility, which I think Dharma is a very good translation to it, and so that I cannot separate myself from my actions yet. I don't know how to yet, or a good way to do it. So, but the reason why I don't do it is because I need to make sure that this body is aligned with the actions that I want it to do good in the world as much as I can. That's the reason why I have an issue separating myself from my actions, because I don't want to lose control of the body to start doing bad things. Even though I don't think I'll do that, it's very difficult. Emotion wise, I can for the most part. Thought wise, I'm understanding it more with the videos. I'm understanding thoughts coming in, and I don't know if I'm separating myself from that too much. Emotions, I have. Okay, so the next part is, it's still same comment. It's cool to say that I am atheist by mere knowledge that you have gathered in your small life is so deep rooted that you're still disbelieving in higher powers. So small life, absolutely. So deeply rooted that you're still, well, I mean, I am basing everything off my personal experience. I'm not merely just going to believe in something because someone tells me to believe in something. And this is something that I genuinely believe in, that Hinduism teaches, that Sadhguru teaches, that Osho teaches. Well, I don't know if Osho, I haven't watched his video in a little bit, that Swami Sarvapriyananda said, Swami Tadatmadanda, I believe, said, Lakhani has said, they've all said not to believe, but you must experience. And I'm working myself towards that. But I'm still trying to understand most of the basics. I mean, these things, without having a proper teacher, it's not necessarily very difficult, but it is difficult to, how do I say, to learn it properly. And this is how I kind of like to learn it, and this is how I've learned things through a lot. It may not be the best way, but it is at least a step in the right direction. So the next part was, Western world doing quite a good job in brainwashing the child from birth to be atheist, that even if God is standing in front of you saying, yes, I am God, then you are still arguing with her to show proof. Brahman is nothing but the smallest subatomic particle, which is everything. That is your conclusion. Wow, I wonder. Okay, so so let's go back. So, well, I wasn't born in the Western world. I wasn't raised atheist. As a matter of fact, I was actually raised, I think, Catholic. And so, and I wasn't born in the Western world. I wasn't raised in the Western world. And The Western world, as a matter of fact, came to my birth country and converted it majority to Catholic. It now has become the dominant religion there. I won't say which country it is, just because I'm keeping that as my personal secret for now. And this is the reason why I do keep it a secret, because there are people out there who will assume things about me, and while I will correct them, but I won't tell them exactly. So not a Western born, not Western raised, and wasn't born atheist. Well, I mean, I wasn't born religious nor atheist. I had no no beliefs in anything. But no, I did believe in God when I was growing up. But as I grew up, I started to think about things, and that's how I became atheist. And the next thing you said is that even if God is standing in front of you saying, yes, I am God, then you're still arguing with her to show proof. So here's a great example. So for you, if God were to appear in front of you, would you just accept it to be God? Someone comes up in front of you and says, I am God. Or let me do this directly. I am God. Do you believe that I am God? If you say no, then you are contradicting your point, because you said arguing with her to show proof. Are you saying that God should not prove that they are God, or show proof? Well, yeah. Or do I have to prove that I am God? If so, what proof do you need that I am God? And then at that point, you're questioning God. That's not, well, from the Western religions, you don't question God. You have to accept God. Or some pastors maybe will say that when you see God, you'll just know. You'll feel it. There's no proof needed. So, and even then, yes, and you're right over here too. We're arguing with her to show proof. Hold on. Where is that? In front of you saying, I am God, and you're still God. Yes, and here's where I'll agree with you. Yes, and I've thought about this too. About if, say, God were to show up in front of me and start doing a whole bunch of things that are probably impossible, would I believe that was God? And I probably wouldn't. Because take yourself right now, get you combat ready, and we'll send you back to the Stone Ages. To our ancestors, you are literally God. You are doing things that are not capable of the time. And a famous saying is, I'm sorry, I forgot what the famous saying, but it goes along the lines that go further into the future or far back in time with the current equipment or the future equipment, it would seem like godlike. So basically, I'll simplify that. We go 1,000 years into the future. You would think all they're doing is magic, literally magic, because you'd have no clue of what's going on. They can hook something up to you and make you start seeing a whole bunch of things. They can make you do a whole bunch of things because our mind is just chemicals. When I went to psychology class, they did an experiment where they hooked up some things on a rat's brain, and they wanted to test it. It was quite cruel. They made it hungry indefinitely, and the rat ate itself to death. It just kept on eating and eating and eating. Even though the stomach was full, it died because it just didn't stop eating. And that is something that I think that could happen to us. If someone were to shoot some kind of stuff in our brain, we would and make us hungry indefinitely, it would probably happen. Even though you're thinking, it's like, man, I should be full right now, and you keep eating. And if they were suppressing the full signal and the pain signal, I don't think you actually have, I don't know if you have pain receptors in your stomach. But anyways, if they were to block that and you keep eating, you wouldn't know that your stomach is literally going to tear itself apart because you keep eating. So yes, and even if God was to do that to me, I would still question it. Obviously, there's probably no way, and I thought about this. There's probably no way to prove that there is a God with me, and I've thought about it just because, like Sadhguru, like Swami Sarvapriyananda says, which I genuinely do believe, this body is just chemicals and material from the earth. and you can manipulate it, basically. Because, yeah. Alright, next thing is, we see your video daily, but sometimes you make me angry. It's okay. Take the time exploring reality on its beautiful journey. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I watch these videos. That's why I watch so many gurus and swamis, because everyone tells, every swami and guru tells it a little bit differently. That helps me understand it better. Sometimes they bring out things that, like, kind of, like recently, Swami Tadatmadanda says that the Turiya, or the pure consciousness, has no free will, but yet this body does. That is it's blowing my mind a little bit. That it just doesn't sound right to me. So I have to understand that, because why does the Supreme Being have no free will, but the body that's constructed out of consciousness has free will? It doesn't make sense to me. Generally speaking, higher beings would have more power over lesser beings. Supreme Being, gods, aliens, maybe, I don't know. It's just really weird, and I have to understand that. And hopefully, well, I can't, like Sadhguru says, I can't help that it makes you angry, but that I'm being honest, and I hope that you can appreciate that. That's all I can really say. I mean, I'm still going on this journey, and I think, I keep saying pretty soon, but I do want to pretty soon. There's just a lot of things going on in my life right now that I'm trying to get started. It's not really stressful. It's stressful, but I've had most of my emotions under control for the most part. Anyways, so, well, thanks for watching, and you, the commenter here, and you know who you are. But if you get too mad and you unsubscribe, I understand. Hopefully I'm not too frustrating. But yeah, don't stress your life out over my channel, man. Just like you said, explore reality and enjoy the beautiful journey. 100% agree. Alright, I'll be right back with the next question. One quick thing with the comment before, and I asked myself, what can God do to prove that God is God? And I thought to myself, I don't think there's anything that God can do to prove that they're God. The reason why I say that, even if God were to, I hear God talking in my head, and God can read my mind, and God can control my actions, that still would not prove that God is God. Why do I say that? It's because if you look at rabies, it takes over the animal's body. You look at, it's a specific type of fungus that attacks ants, and it basically, once it gets into the ant's brain, that's it. The ant has no choice but to climb up this tree, clamp itself down, and then the fungus grows, hopefully over the ant hill, and which can wipe out entire colonies of ants. And basically the ant becomes just, I don't know, I don't want to say a slave, but just I guess technically a slave to the fungus itself. And I mean, and then there's well, I don't know what else there is. That's so far the two most scariest things I can think of. And it's just a matter of time, maybe, that we'll find some kind of fungus or something that will do the same to us. And because of that reality, that makes it very believable that there could be species out there that could shoot out some kind of pheromone or something in the air which can take over our minds and then our bodies. So that's the reason why being able to read the mind or being able to control the body doesn't make you God. Just because we can see that happening in animals, and it's very probable that there is something out there that could probably do that to us. And again, our thoughts, our emotions, anything that happens in our body, generally speaking, happens in our mind first. And it's chemicals. So if there's a species out there that can read chemicals, then they can read our minds. It's a bit far-fetched, absolutely, but I do believe that to be true. It's just a matter of when we'll discover it, probably. I don't know. Maybe there is no species out there like that, but it's just very probable because of how our body works and how we see things in nature. Okay, on to the next comment. Okay, for the next comment is, you take much more time and attention to understanding what he is saying. Unless every person has the freedom of food at least, then a possibility of transformation. Half are prosperous, half hungry. Society cannot transform. It'll go on forever. Only if basic survival is taken care of for everybody, then only everyone will be able to think beyond. United. Till that point, do what it takes to get to that level first, and those who seek such situations will definitely try to contribute towards the well-being at a basic level. And I agree. I mean, I don't know, like, there's a lot of people out there who are rich or more fortunate and who don't contribute. I'm not going to blame them. I go along the lines of what Osho said, that you're only ever responsible for yourself. You have no responsibility to anyone else. But that doesn't mean that you can't contribute, you can't help people. It's just that the first and foremost is you yourself. You must ensure that you do not become part of the problem. And whether you become the solution or not is different. While in my own personal situation, I'm trying not to become part of the problem, and also if I can help, I'll try to help. Although my help's a little bit different just because of what the bad people do. And what I mean by that is, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. There are people out there who will pretend to be poor and want money, and if you give them money, you're not giving money to the actual poor people. And also there are some poor people who will use it to do drugs and whatnot. I'm not sure. I think it's more common in more densely populated areas just because there's a lot more people, but around where I'm at, I don't think that's the case. But I do, if I can, I will take them into food areas and just buy them food, and sometimes, most of the time, anonymously if I do see them in there. I mean, I can't exactly do that just because I'm not making millions of dollars, and if you look at my income to the national average, I'm making about almost half of what the national average income is. But based in my state, I'm making up maybe the average. I live in a poor state, so my income is average, but to the national level, about half. Average, mine. Poor. Oh, listen. Average, mine, and then poor. So you seem too knowledgeable and intellectual, and that's stopping you. Same comment, by the way. You seem to be too knowledgeable and intellectual, and that is stopping you from getting what he says, because the problem is you don't realize that you're knowledgeable and intelligent only in your head, and you keep playing those qualities that you've imagined. I don't try to imagine much, but I like to believe I'm knowledgeable. I don't think I'm necessarily intellectual, but I do consider myself to be slightly above average in wisdom. I get what he's saying, I think. I don't know what part did I miss that I didn't understand. I wish you would put that in there. That way you can say, this is what Sadhguru said, this is what you said, and this is what Sadhguru meant. That way I can understand, like, oh, okay, I get it, that's where I misunderstood. Or maybe I could say, hey, no, that's not what I meant. Or maybe you didn't understand me and let me clarify. And perhaps that may have been the case. I think that's about it. I do believe myself to be knowledgeable of the things that I know, for the most part. There are many things I don't know. I wish I was intellectual. I'd be making a lot more money. I do believe myself to be slightly above average in wisdom. Whatever that average is, I don't know what that is. And that's about it. I mean, I'm not letting my knowledge or intellect only in your head and keep you from those qualities. Yeah, I'm not letting my knowledge or intellect stop me from learning anything. I consider everything, and anything that, so long as it's within reason, I listen to what people say. I don't block it out. It's just that it doesn't match up with my experience, and even then, I still consider what they say. It's just a matter of gathering more information, and then when I do, I was like, oh, that's matching up with what someone said. There might be something more to this. Or otherwise, if that's the only person that said something, I'd be like, well, he's the only person that said something. You know, I keep it real. And also, I agree with you with the hunger part. You know, I said there's 3 basic things that you need, which is what Sadhguru is going to say. Well, shelter, you want to make sure you're outside the elements, food, and thirst. You want to make sure you have clean water, good food and shelter. It doesn't have to be like fancy food, just food that's good. That's not, bad. And another thing that I like what Sadhguru said is if you're hungry, you have one problem. If you're not hungry, 99 problems. That is very, very true in the U.S. As far as I can tell. There are people. I think this is generally in developed cities, developed countries, but I don't think the country could be developing, but obviously that means there are cities that are very much developed, and I have a feeling these issues are in there too, where you have your hunger, you have your thirst, and you have your shelter taken care of, yet you still have so many problems. It's very strange, and I see that in the United States, and I see entitled people. I think that might be the problem here. I just don't know what percent of the population is that. Anyways, that's it with the questions. Let me go find another one. Alright, the next comment is, this is an old video when anti-Hindu parties were in power. Now BJP, a pro-Hindu party and the world's largest party in power. Our PM has the highest approval rating in the world. Corruption has reduced. Terror attack has reduced. Ancient temples occupied by Muslims has been reclaimed. Extreme poverty, earning less than $2, has been almost eliminated. Everything is happening by strengthening the market economy, using technology. Sadhguru is happy and secretly supports BJP. Hey, look, man. Okay, 100% glad that everything is strengthened, and genuinely, I hope most countries do strengthens their economy and get a lot of people out of poverty. So again, so long as it's not forceful in any way. It kind of sucks that how in the world did anti-Hindu parties get into power? That's very strange. But nonetheless, I'm glad to see that extreme poverty is getting reduced, that strengthening the market economy is, well, the market economy being strengthened using technology and everything. Yeah, trust me, dude, you look in America, there's a lot of successful Indian people. There is a lot of successful Indian people. So I have no doubt that India can pull out of it, obviously, because there's a lot of successful Indian people. And about most fields, I know them in doctors, know them in technology. I'm not sure if anything else really. I'm personally know this. Obviously, the CEO of Google and a few other people have noted a lot of other CEOs in other companies. But the hospitals, I know this from 2 different hospitals. There's a lot of Indians in like doctor fields and was it anesthesiologists? I can't remember that, but yes. They are very successful, so I know Indian people are very much capable and very driven. I do believe that in Asian people in general too, just generally speaking, Asian people are quite driven. But yeah, genuinely glad. I mean, shit, I hope all economies are doing fantastic, honestly, but at the very least, I'm glad to hear that it's strengthening. I've heard another comment, yeah, right there. Sorry, this is a different comment. From the date of that video to now, Indian politics has changed a lot. BJP, a national party, has all the power now. I would say all the power is a little scary, because even in my own political system, I may favor a political party, but I would never ever want it to have all the power. But then again, I don't know how Indian politics work. So long as everyone voted that in, and so long as it's working out great, I have no oppositions to that. Just so long as everything's great, which as far as I'm hearing in the comments, it looks like it's doing good. Again, I don't know about Indian politics. There's crap in the country that I live in right now. I'm a little bit more worried about that. Everything's good, then everything's good. Alright, I'm going to look for the next comment. Next comment is, it's not moving to India, sir. It's moving India. Maybe it means developing India. India is moving ahead. Absolutely freaking literally. I don't know, my mind is just... how susceptible my mind is. And this is very much it with, like, if you watch videos where they have words with the first letter swapped and then yet your mind reads it properly, that's what happened there multiple times. And yeah, I am sorry. I should have read that, but I did read it. My mind just added the 2 to it because I don't know why. But yes, actually, I think you're right. It says maybe it means developing India. Yeah, I think it means developing India, but it's moving the people to a common goal to make India better. I do believe that. And that's what I think it means. Moving the people to push for change in the country for the betterment, obviously. But yes, moving to India. I don't know how many times I've read that, and yet it's still the same thing. Moving to India when it's moving India. All right, next comment. So this next comment actually is quite interesting. It says homogeneous countries have more violence. Diversity actually brings tolerance. The question is how well you accept the differences. And I do agree with you to some degree. I would say diversity brings tolerance. I do agree with you because when you see other people and you see how they are, you become more acceptant of those type of people. And when you see these people, and you become friends with them, you generally accept their groups of people as well. So you become more tolerant. I do agree with you. Now, to say homogeneous countries have more violence, I don't think so. Just because with homogeneous countries, everyone tends to be the same. So what the violence tends to have, in my opinion, I'm definitely not a professional here, and you can definitely quote, you can probably prove me wrong here, but I think they tend to be more peaceful just because they can't argue based on their skin color because they all look alike, their hair color because they all look alike, their ideas because they generally have the same thing. Conflict comes when things are different. So when you have one race of people and one race of people, you'll have some of those people, how do I say, disagree with one another, and how far that disagreement goes is all, of course, the individuals. And then, of course, you also have people who become friends. So, but there's that difference in terms of just skin color alone, which could bring up arguments or disagreements. And the question is how well you accept the differences. Absolutely, that's just for everyone, really. And that, my only theory is the sheer fact that the more differences there are, the more chance of conflict there can be. And this is what Sadhguru was talking about identities. When you have less identities to differentiate yourself from another person, there's less things to argue with. So if we just all say we're all humans, like how Sadhguru was talking about in his video, where it's like, oh, this is my body, but if I expand that out to everyone in this room, I would not want to cause harm to them because he sees himself in everyone. So that means there's literally no difference between him and someone else because he sees him and that person. Those one person or two are the same. So there's no difference. When there's no difference, there's no conflict. So the less differences there are, the less chance of conflict, disagreements. So that's my theory, and I do believe it to be true. Again, I have no evidence to back that up. I do want to do a little bit more research on it, but homogenous countries, it's not to say that they're violent free. No, there's still always people out there who are pretty bad and who get emotional, but these emotions or these bad people happen in every country anyway. But when you have, like in America, people believe there's racism. There is, and racism is the belief that one race is superior to another. Well, if everyone was the same race, racism wouldn't exist there because there's no way to say that one race is superior to another because everyone's the same race. So it removes that conflict from that country. Now, you can always have the male versus female because there is a difference there. And that could be an argumentative point, but that can apply to anywhere because there's male and female everywhere. So that could be a point of argument because there is differences. Long hair, short hair, again, differences there. And then you have black hair and blonde hair or red hair or white hair. Differences there, and could be argued for that. But those hairs are not unique to, say, a particular part. Anyone can have black hair or red hair, or, well, not everyone, but generally speaking, there are places where people have these varieties of hairs, and those can be content for conflict. Because jealousy, if someone has a red hair, and that's the only person that has red hair, everyone might be like fascinated with it. It's like, oh, I'm jealous that person has red hair. I want to go beat them up or whatever. But if it's black hair, then I can't argue against red hair. Could be now, their hair is more beautiful than mine, and there's the difference. Even though it's the same black hair, same length, but somehow that hair is more beautiful than mine, I don't like that person because of that. So the difference is what I'm trying to get at is the conflicting part. When there's less differences, there's less conflict. But there's nowhere in the country, or in the world, should I say, that there are no differences. There's always going to be conflict, but I just believe, again, word there, believe that where there's less differences, there's less conflict. I definitely want to be proven wrong with that. I would love to see a place where it's just super diverse. And when I mean diverse, I don't mean everyone just has different beliefs or whatever. I'm talking about from China, Japan, Pakistan, Taiwan, Malaysia, Hawaii, even though that's part of the United States. Was it South Africa? Or I'm sorry, Africa in general, Nigeria, South Africa, England, Germany, France, all those people in one place together living harmoniously. I'd be so happy to be proven wrong and have all those people living together and no conflict. Oh my gosh, that's a dream come true. But I think the reality is that it sucks, we're human, but at the same time, we're human, a good thing. But there will just be conflicts, I think. That's my belief. I hope I'm wrong. Genuinely do hope I'm wrong. Okay, so that's practically, I went through a little bit more, and there wasn't really necessarily any as of recent more comments, so I'm ending it right here. So, well, I appreciate everyone for commenting, and if you think I'm stupid, crazy, wild, or whatever, I still appreciate it, because I'm not going to stop you from thinking what you want to think. The only thing I can do is just tell it how I understand it, and you can help me understand it. You can try to convince me one way or another, but I will always run it through my filters. And don't get me wrong, my filters is a way to reinforce the belief. So I'm just gonna put it this way. I'm not gonna believe in something just because someone wants me to believe in something. Even though I've gone through a lot of steps and a lot of videos, that doesn't mean that I necessarily believe it that way. I have to understand it to a certain point to believe in it. So I mean, there are some people that have spoken the frustration about it. I'd rather be honest. Put it this way: if whatever it is, I became a believer of it, just understand that I genuinely do believe in it. And it wasn't because someone said believe in it so I feel better. No, no, no. If I say I believe in something, it's because I put it through a test and I genuinely do believe in it. How much I believe in it is a question, because obviously I'm very much open to even changing what I believe, because some new information can come up that change my belief, and it has. A lot of people don't see the change, but because it's very subtle, and also it takes time to change. If I change my mind like that, then I really didn't have any belief in something, unless I've already been working it out throughout the entire process that we've been going through here. So yeah, I mean, so far I went from here's the change. We can start from the very beginning. Again, the video's over with. I'm just stating blah 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 stuff. So the first change I will say is from going to my world religion class, and I do believe it was an Indian female teacher. The way I saw it was the dress, the garb, and also the red dot on her forehead. And the teaching, she went to different kinds of religion, but the one that stuck out to me was Buddhism. With, again, like I said earlier, was that life is suffering. And the thing that she gave an example was childbirth. It was mind-blowing. It's like, childbirth? What? That's what people generally are very happy. But it's a lot of pain to give birth to a child. I'm like, well, yeah, but I never thought about it as suffering. But now that you put it that way, I was like, I get it. And I started thinking about, is everything suffering? And I did agree with that to some degree. I'm like, that's interesting. And I still think about that, and I thought about it for a long. I don't know how long I thought about it, because it's a while ago. But I've thought about it more and more and more. I just started thinking about it in everyday life. Work is suffering. Trying to get a vacation is suffering. Trying to buy a car is suffering. Trying to buy a house is suffering. Trying to go to the movies to enjoy yourself is suffering. How is it suffering? Because you have to work to get the money to buy the tickets. Even if you enjoy doing the work, if there's manual labor involved, that's in a sense suffering. But I don't look at it as suffering, though, because I worked at a Walmart where big 18-wheelers would come in, and one person would unload the entire truck and put it on a belt to pass it down the line, so that the people in the other line would remove it from the belt and put it where it needs to belong. I've unloaded those trucks. It was hot in there. There's no air, and it's a lot of heavy stuff, like lots and lots of detergents, like weights, and just a lot of heavy things. But the way I looked at it, I don't look at it as a negative. I looked at it as like working out. It's like free gym membership right there, and that's how that's how I trained myself to enjoy doing manual labor. I still hated it, but I enjoyed it. I hated it because it's physically demanding. It was tiring. It's heavy, but free gym membership. You know, that's how I played it out in my mind. So but yeah, so life is suffering. Give it 110%, but expect nothing from it. Then we go with Swami Sarvapriyananda explaining the three worlds. Three worlds? Four, actually. So you got the waker world, the dreamer world, the deep sleep world, and then the Turiya. Turiya, he says, means four, which is your true self. And your true self pervades all three of those worlds. You're just unaware. In the deep sleep world, you're aware. In the waker world, and the dreamer world, you're only aware of that. That's the thing that was very interesting. It made me think a little bit. It's like, that's interesting. The dreamer world, the deep sleep world, you're not aware of anything. But further down with my experience, I noticed that they said that only at that moment that you actually get your true sense, the Turiya, because your thoughts are blocked out, your emotions are blocked out, and your actions are blocked out. And I can see that. But the issue is it being separate from you. I don't know how you go about proving that. So in my mind, I try to prove something that I don't believe, because if I can prove it to be true, then I believe it. But I also try to destroy it. I try to disprove it. And if I can disprove it, then I don't believe it. So this is something that goes on constantly in my mind. I'm also trying to prove and disprove whatever it is that I want to believe. And if I can prove it more, if I prove something and I cannot disprove that proof, that only strengthens my belief in it, because all the things I try to do to destroy it failed. So if anyone were to come up and say, oh yeah, but da 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 da, it's like, nope, I already thought of that, I disproved it. So it becomes, the thing that I believe becomes stronger and stronger. And then now the three ways I see Brahman. It's the next one. Originally, I thought our true self, Brahman, is our consciousness, let me put it that way, is in the mind. And the fact that Brahman itself is a material that is the fabric the fabric of existence. Without it, nothing exists. It is literally in everything that exists. The second one was how did I explain that? Oh, the second one was still kind of the fabric of existence, but at the same time that I need to watch my video again. But basically, that everything that happens in the external world happens in our consciousness, where it must manifest in our consciousness for us to experience it. And that's the reason why everything is pure consciousness, is because if you take out our consciousness, it doesn't matter what the body feels. It'll do all this, but nothing will experience it. Nothing. This is just a shell of a body with nothing to experience it if you remove the consciousness. But when you put the consciousness back, it can then experience the things, but it must manifest in the consciousness. So therefore, if things must manifest in the consciousness to be experienced, then everything is technically consciousness. And that is very, very fascinating to me. And then the third one, which I believe is my best understanding of Advaita Vedanta, which is everything is consciousness. A little bit different between 2 and 3. Like, this body is consciousness, literally consciousness, while in number 2, this body is the body. It's the material of this world. It's the food that we eat. But everything is experienced in our brain, in the consciousness of our brain. So even though this is literally flesh, blood, and muscle, but when I touch this part, I touch this flesh, I'm experiencing it in my consciousness, not here, which is something Sadhguru has said. I think Advaita Vedanta, again, as far as my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that even this is pure consciousness. All this, everything here. They say everything you experience is consciousness, I think. But I, as far as I understand, everything is consciousness. So that's the difference between 2 and 3, and I'm trying to determine which one is Advaita Vedanta. Is it that everything is consciousness, or because we experience everything must manifest in consciousness for to experience it, therefore everything is consciousness? I hope that makes sense. But I don't want to keep explaining. I'm going to end it right there. I'm sorry. Okay, anyways, I haven't done this in a while. Wanted to do it. Wanted to kind of catch up with some questions here. So if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.